Assalamu alaikum class. Today the topic we are going to discuss is regarding architectural design methodologies and approaches. Architectural design processes. Let's start that already we have defined that architecture is process as well as product. Sorry. For this purpose, first of all, what we need to learn here is that what is actually architectural design process and what are the steps that will help to make us follow this process. Simply, if we define architectural design is the process of resolving a problem, and there are solutions to even to the hardest problems. Briefly, if we explain about architectural design process, it comprises of the acronym based. Here, the base part brief includes B stands for briefing, A for analysis, S for synthesis, E for evaluation, and D is ultimately for design. Briefly, if we define these terms, we can say the briefing includes selection of the site where your building is actually going to build. The second step after a selection of your site, you have to formulate the program. Programming is a very important component of architectural design, and it is just like we are collecting our data and then enlisting it. Further, in next slide, we will in detail discuss regarding programming. So, collection of data, examples, samples, existing case studies, and data collection for site. All these features are, or selection of the site. All these features are actually part of your design brief. Analysis part, design and project data analysis. The data requirements that we have enlisted in programming are then analyzed, and we finally identify the basic objectives of the building design. For example, the building is designed for some handicapped people, or the building is designed for as an old house. So we develop a concept accordingly. Or if it's a religious building like a Holy Kaaba, so it could be identify the nature of the project and ultimately leads us towards that what will be the guidelines or what will be the aims that we will achieve by the end of the project. Formulation of concepts and alternatives. Initially, by the help of the site selection, programming, data collection, study of past examples, and definitely with its analysis and identifying our aims, we formulate a design concept. Sometimes we have to formulate more than one design concept and alternatives so that we can cope up with the problems for the design of that particular project. Finally, you have to communicate your concept, communicate your idea through bubble diagrams, or we can say conceptual sketching, and then you briefly evaluate them and review the alternative solutions. For example, you find that in your proposal number 1, the spaces are organized with one another, but they could be redesigned so that we can have more than one purpose for specific room, and which will be more comfortable for the user. So you have to provide the alternative designs as well, or solutions, or even your client requirements or client demands for more, for the give some suggestions and ask for the alternative solutions. Finally, you are going to select the alternative solution, and then ultimately in the design phase, the final selected design will be end up in the form of drawings. Rather, they are two-dimensional drawings or they are three-dimensional drawings. So let's discuss whenever an architectural project is given to you, where we have to start, or what is the point that we are going to begin our project. The process always starts with the programming. We can say programming is a list of various uses contemplated for a space and the percentage distribution of it. It means it carries majorly two features. The one is which type of spaces are going to be placed in that particular building, and then we distribute the square feet areas roughly as per standards, as per guidelines, as per the existing examples, a rough distribution of areas. For example, in commercial apartments, we sometimes defines that square feet area of bedroom should not be greater than 150 square feet, or it should lie between 130 to 150 as per standards, or the height of the door should not be less than 7 feet. So you will find out that the particular minimum size of a room should not be less than 100 square feet. This is a standard rule. So if the size of the room should not be less than 100 square feet, a residable room should have the size or percentages you will calculate as per the requirements. Programming, it is also known as the pre-design phase. According to the Durek, architectural programming is the systematic process of gathering and analyzing. So collection of data and then analyzation of data, analyzing the data, analyzing the provided information regarding the building or the site, and then particularly we are going to utilize that information to finalize or to create some basic guidelines for that particular building, that how it's going to be performed or how well the setting or the site will act. So simply if we define architectural programming, it's a step-by-step process in which we gather data and then analyze that particular information regarding the building, and then that particular systematic information which was analyzed and collected help us to create the fundamental guidelines so that we can analyze how well or how our building is actually going to perform in terms of spatial organization or in terms of use. The second definition of programming is the consultation to establish and document the following detailed requirements for a project. So, set of requirements of any project after consultation, documentation, we can say gathering of all the data collection. After all the data collection is known as programming. In general, pre-design phase is a problem seeking stage. Okay, this is one of the list that what actually programming going to include, and then we will see an example of a residential house list of requirements, we can say, or a building program. First of all, you are going to research, collect the data, identify the data, and analyze what are your client needs or requirements of the client, how many number of rooms he is requiring on the ground floor for a 5 marla house, or might be he want to rent out that particular house, so he need a staircase with a separate access along with the use of his family. There might be some privacy needs. Then interview definitely the client or the end user. Go through the user profile. Use already available inventory products. For example, you can, if you want to design a house, you will go through the previously designed houses. Then you go through the profile of a client so that you can understand what is his lifestyle and what are the basic functions he requires. Then you have to create the relationship between spaces. For instance, whenever we design any building, the guest rooms are mostly placed at the area which is not a guest room or a drawing room. Both have some strong relationship with one another. The guest bedroom I'm talking about. So both of them are mostly placed near the front entrance of the house so that the privacy of the bedrooms and living rooms, which are more used by the family according to our culture, are placed in a way that the overall organization of space will not disturb the privacy of the end users or the family. Then we organize the space, for example, placing the kitchen along the dining area as well as placement of dining area near to the drawing room so that whenever your guests arrive, you can serve them well. Then, considering the environmental factors, for instance, some of the areas having very hot climate or sometimes having very cold climate. According to these situations, for hot climates, you definitely allow the sun to come through the windows in the building to keep the building temperature comparatively comfortable. On the other hand, for hot climates, definitely you have to reduce the fenestration area or the area of opening so that you will allow the light, but you will prefer to block the exposure of sun within the buildings. Then the mechanical systems, it's definitely related with the heating system, ventilation system, air conditioning system. Also, your exhaust fan put in the kitchen is one of the mechanical system. Then there are specific sociological or physiological needs of different families. For example, if you are designing a house for a Christian family, they are having different social culture, they are having different demands of privacy. And if we talk about a family that belongs to Islam, definitely the Muslims are having different demands, requires females and male segregation at specific zones. Then economic factors, the limitation of the budget, it's always very important. Building bylaws or building codes or rules and regulations should be followed, and ultimately might be the client want that his house should be look like a historical castle, or sometimes we want that his house should look like a totally modern house or modern style house. So it depends that what is his design preferences are. Now it's an example of a residential programming. For example, when you go to the client profile, you should know how many people are going to live, what is the gender size of the people, what are their major activities, their age. For example, if someone requires somebody is doctor and he wants that his clinic should also be adjusted within the house. So this is the one of the specific requirement. Then definitely the spaces should be flexible enough as with the passage of the time the family sometimes grows, sometimes reduces. The definitely the toddler is actually grow into a teenager. So the spaces should be flexible enough that with the passage of time, just like your family walls, the spaces should not too rigid enough that they will remain rigid on their place, but they will also be multi-purpose. For example, your child bed area should have the provision that when the child grows up, the room decor or the size of the room should be enough that for adults it will be able to accommodate them. Then their hobbies, activities, for example, music is one of the activity, and how they definitely if it's mostly how long people are going to live in the house or the house is constructed for rental purpose. So you have to clear about the lifestyle, their taste, their dislikes, their media room requirements, the square footage area per person. Normally in Pakistan, 6 to 8% are living in a house. So if we say that 8% in a house, minimum 1% requires a 300 square footage area. Then definitely list of machines present in the house like TV, videos, computers, or if a security system is installed. Orientation of a site, last time we have discussed that site orientation, a north side is preferable in Lahore, and west side orientation plots are comparatively, or buildings facing west side are comparatively more hotter. so it will be difficult to reside within them, and you have to pay the more, ultimately a more running cost. The running cost is means to say the electricity bills for cooling your building, then definitely orientation of the wind and nearby the use of green areas. So briefing is actually architectural brief. It's a statement of the special requirements of the client, which form the basis for appointing an architect. The brief describes the requirement or needs to be accommodated within the building. Subsequently, constructed as a building. A brief is written document. That might be anything from a single page, and sometimes there is a huge list of requirements from specific clients. The term program is often used today in conjunction with and in part as a synonym of an architectural brief. Program is used more often in the United States, whereas brief is mostly used in the United States internationally. So more often, if you see, building program is the list of requirements that is formulated by the architect after the initial visits and initial research, as per the requirements of the site and as per the requirements of the client. While design brief is majorly the list of requirements provided by the client. Okay, moving towards the next slide.